Hello everyone, this is Aaron from Ohio Bar Hop. I'm coming to you from my home bar in Columbus, Ohio today. While this pandemic has hit all of us very strong, and especially in the bar and restaurant industry, it has hurt some business owners more than others. Last week I went down to Beavercreek, Ohio, and I met with a bar owner down there. Last year she was furloughed from her corporate job, and it has been her lifelong dream to own her own business, and this presented her with a wonderful opportunity to pursue that dream and become an entrepreneur and start her own business and buy a bar, and she did so at the beginning of this year. The timing of when all this happened with her was probably one of the most unfortunate and saddest stories I've heard from any bar owner yet. The initial shutdown in March by Governor DeWine of the bars and restaurants, and especially the 10 p.m. curfew that was enacted at the end of July that is currently in effect in our state, is crushing her dreams of being a business owner, and is crushing her financially right now to the point where she cannot even pay her own bills. So right now I'd like to take you to Beavercreek, Ohio, and I want you to meet Amy, and this is her story. So we are here at Knollwood Tavern with Amy, who's one of the owners in Beavercreek, Ohio. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. So you have a pretty unique story here of what's going on with your bar. You recently purchased this bar. Can you tell me a little bit about the purchase process for you and
Sure.
when you finalized on the purchase here?
Yeah, I'd like to start with the fact that I was actually furloughed from my corporate position, and I decided to take my severance pay and purchase into a bar so that I have something that is my own. And we started looking at the Knollwood Tavern in mid-December, and in January we started the buying process. It was finalized about the end of January, beginning of February, and we literally got the keys to the place, wrote my final check for inventory on the day Mike DeWine shut us down.
On March 15th?
On March 15th.
What was that like? When you took ownership of the bar, did you even realize that happened yet, or
No.
how did that all?
No. Mike actually came on the TV while we were here. We wrote the final check and we started ripping things out because we wanted to do some updates and renovations here, and it was about 2 hours. He came on TV and announced bars and restaurants would be closed down at 9 p.m. that night.
Wow.
So it was really a gut punch.
I can only imagine. So you said you got furloughed from your previous career and your job. Was that because of COVID?
It was not.
Okay, but
yeah.
Downsizing and things like that.
Right.
And you wanted to start a different career path for yourself?
Exactly. This has always been my dream, to have something and run something of my own.
So this was probably a very exciting thing for you, coming into a new business opportunity and a whole new adventure for you. What went through your head when you saw the governor come on TV after you started doing some renovations that day, when you just took ownership of the bar that day?
It was absolutely devastating. I felt like everything that I've worked for has just been thrown somewhat out of the window, and I honestly didn't know where we would go from there.
So where did you go from there? What happened after that? Obviously you had to stay closed for a couple of months.
Sure.
What did you do during that time? Did you have plans to try to finish any of the renovations here, or what?
We did some of the major things that really needed to be done here. Everything else has been put on the back burner for now, because of course we had to live for those 2 months and pay our own bills, and also still maintain rent and any other bills that came in our way for the bar.
So in mid-May, when the governor came back and said, okay, bars can reopen again, here's the guidelines, what did you guys do at that point? How did you feel?
I was ecstatic. I was so happy that this day had finally come, because we didn't know when that day was coming. And I was so excited to open. And I couldn't be more happy with the results of us opening.
How was business?
Business was great. I mean, I certainly couldn't complain. There were certainly guidelines that had to be followed and things of that nature, but overall, I was just tickled pink,
During that period before the governor came back and said we're going to close at 10 o'clock, so between like May and end of July, you said business was good. How did your staff adapt to kind of the rule changes of how we had to operate the bar? Did things go smoothly for you here? Were you able to keep up with the guidelines?
We were able to keep up with the guidelines, And regarding the 10 p.m. closure time, that was just another hurdle that we had to get through, and it went smoothly here as far as, of course, the shift hours changed, and my staff is still struggling today. I'm struggling today trying to make ends meet at this point because we lost so much revenue.
How much revenue do you estimate that you lost because of the 10 p.m. closure?
Between July and the last 3 months, I'm between 37 and 40% in revenue.
Huge loss.
It's absolutely huge. Whereas before, when we first opened, we were able to pay all our bills and have a little bit of a cushion, and we don't have that today.
Are you able to pay the bills right now with the revenue you have coming in from the bar?
No. I mean, plain and simple, that's just a no. My top priority is to pay any obligations that we have to the previous owners, our rent, and our utilities, and I can tell you everything is running behind. I'm grateful to have a landlord that understands what everyone is going through because he's going through it himself, but no, I'm not able to pay my bills on time.
How have you been able to handle that situation? Have you had to take any measures out of your own pocket to...
Absolutely. Just recently, to make ends meet and make some sort of payment for one of my bills, I had to sell off some personal items, and that was about $2,000.
So you're not only not making money right now at the bar,
Correct.
You're losing money, and you're actually selling off personal possessions of yours just to keep this business going.
Exactly.
And this is all because of the 10 p.m. curfew.
Absolutely.
Do you think that if the governor would come back and say, hey, we can lift this curfew now, some of the guidelines and stuff are still in place, for protecting people, that you guys could maintain those, number one, and number two, that you guys would be able to be successful here financially?
We could certainly maintain the requirements that need to be followed, but it would provide so much of a relief to be able to just pay my bills.
On Tuesday, just a couple of days ago, Governor DeWine was asked again about lifting the 10 p.m. curfew. Mm-hmm. And his words were, it's irresponsible to do that at this point. He's also come out in the last few weeks and said bars and restaurants aren't the problem. It's social gatherings at homes and weddings and family gatherings, things like that.
Sure.
What would you want to say to the governor right now about what's coming out of his mouth and how it's affecting us?
Well, part of the social gatherings are coming from people who are leaving the bar at 10, 11 o'clock when we have to close. People are going home in groups where measurements are not being taken, things are not sanitized. And I think that allowing us to open, whether it be midnight or 2:30, which is what I pay for, I think it would relieve some of those issues.
A lot of the bars I've talked to across the state have told me that at 10 o'clock people are actually going to really large house parties. Are you seeing that at all in this area?
Absolutely. I've driven by them, and yes, they are happening, they are going on, and probably more people in one location than would be in my bar at any given time.
Is there anything else that you want everyone else in Ohio to know about what's going on in our industry? Is there anything else you want to tell people about how this is affecting us and how this is hurting us?
This is killing our industry. And we're not only suffering financially, business-wise, we're suffering financially, personally. This is my bread and butter. This is my job. And I have to be able to operate in order to make a living and pay my bills. And I'm tired of begging for help, the help that I'm not getting. I've not received one single dime from either an EIDL loan, or the PPP or any grants. I've gotten nothing.
So you've gotten no financial help at all through this whole process?
This has all been personal funds that are running dry.
Is there a reason that you weren't approved for some of these loans? Was there a timing issue, or?
Yeah, I've been denied over and over again from the Small Business Administration. I'm not able to provide 2 years of back taxes. I'm a new business. And
so you got caught in the cracks here.
I really did.
Well, listen, I'm not going to stop fighting for us. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep putting pressure on our lawmakers to do the right thing and the governor to do the right thing here. So
Sure.
I really hope we have better days ahead, and I think we have some hope right now with pending legislation in the House and Senate. So
I hope so.
we need to be on top of that right now. We need to be engaged with our lawmakers, because I don't think Governor DeWine is going to do this on his own. We
Right.
have to go through the legislature at this point to override him.
Yes.
So keep up the good fight here in Beavercreek, and thanks for sitting down with us
No,
today.
thank you, and thank you for everything that Ohio Bar Hop is doing to advocate for this industry.
Thank you so much.
Because no one else is doing it at this point.
I'm just trying to do what I can to give us a voice right now.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Sadly, stories like Amy's are commonplace across our industry in the state of Ohio right now. What we are going through in this industry is absolutely crushing us, and it is destroying business owners and workers alike. We have to end this 10 p.m. curfew before it destroys too many more businesses and the opportunities and the jobs that it provides for people like myself who work in this industry. Thankfully, we have legislation in the State House right now, which I'm hopeful for, that will end this 10 p.m. curfew with a veto-proof majority to override the governor. Our problem is we know that what we're doing in this industry by and large is working. We're trying our best to keep people safe. We're going leaps and bounds above the regulations to protect our patrons that come into our establishments. We're doing things right in our industry. We know we are, and we also know that what we're doing can work past 10 o'clock too. The same rules that are in place that are meant to keep people safe in our establishments can work throughout the evening. We'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks with the pending legislation, folks, but until then, I'm happy to be an advocate for this industry. I'm happy to advocate on behalf of service industry professionals. If you work in the service industry right now and you own a business or you're just an employee in this industry and you're suffering right now because of the 10 p.m. curfew, I want you to get a hold of me so I can share your story too. You can reach me right here on social media. You can email me at ohiobarhop@gmail.com, or you can call my direct phone line at 614-290-7375. I want to give a voice to us right now in our industry because I know a lot of us in this industry feel like we're not being heard. So reach out to me. I want to share your stories of what's happening across the state so the rest of our politicians and the general public can see what's happening to our industry in Ohio here. Until next time, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all soon.